The ocean covers over 70% of our planet. We tend to think of it as a place, right? A vacation spot, a source of food, that big blue part of the map. But it's so much more than that. It's a physical force, a colossal weight, and a structural support system that our entire world is built on. So, what if that foundation just blinked out of existence? Not drained, not boiled away, but just gone instantly. And this isn't some sci fi fantasy. It's a terrifying thought experiment, all based on a pretty rigorous scientific simulation.
So let's really ask the question, what if, right this second, every single drop of water in every ocean on Earth just ceased to exist? Imagine it, a raw, gaping wound on the face of our world, a perfect, silent void where the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Indian Oceans used to be. We're talking about an abyss almost 4 kilometers deep, stretching across most of the planet. Now, it's a totally impossible scenario, of course, but by exploring it, we start to see all the hidden forces that are secretly keeping our world in one piece.
And here's the real kicker. This whole catastrophe doesn't last for an hour or even a day. It lasts for just 5 seconds. That's it. Barely enough time to take a breath. It almost sounds survivable, doesn't it? But as the physics shows us, 5 seconds is way more than enough time to permanently break the world. Okay, let's start the clock and watch it all fall apart, second by terrifying second.
Okay, so for the first few moments, the main destructive force isn't some crazy explosion or a shockwave. It's just plain old gravity. The very first thing that happens is this profound planetary silence, and it's immediately followed by the feeling of falling. Because every single thing that was once floating is now just hanging in midair over this empty chasm. That invisible force, buoyancy, the constant upward push of water that holds up everything from a rubber duck to a blue whale, it's just been switched off.
Just think about what that really means. We have over 50,000 massive commercial ships on the water at any given time. And these aren't just boats. They are floating cities, literal mountains of steel. And for the next 5 seconds, they're all about to become meteorites. Imagine you're on a cruise liner out in the middle of the Pacific. One moment, you're sipping a drink by the pool, and the very next, the entire city-sized vessel just drops out from under you. You are in a state of absolute terrifying freefall. And just look at how fast this goes, from bad to, well, completely unsurvivable. In that first second, you drop about 5 meters. That's a serious jolt. But by second 3, you've already plummeted over 44 meters, and you're accelerating past 100 kilometers an hour. By the full 5 seconds, you're screaming downwards at almost 180 kilometers per hour, having fallen the height of a 40-story building. You are on a steel island, falling at highway speeds into a dark, empty abyss. But here's the brutal truth. The ship wouldn't even make it the full 5 seconds in one piece. These colossal structures are engineered with one critical assumption, that water will always be there, pushing up, evenly distributing their insane weight. Without that support, the ship's greatest enemy becomes itself. The immense weight of the engines in the back and the cargo in the middle would create these incredible bending forces that the hull was never, ever designed to handle. The sound would just be this chorus of shrieking, tortured steel across every ocean basin as these huge vessels just snap in half, ripping themselves apart in midair. And what happens to our ships is honestly nothing compared to the fate of marine life. For them, water isn't just a home, it's part of their biology. A blue whale can weigh 150 tons, but in the ocean, it's practically weightless. Well, in the air, that mass becomes an instant death sentence. Its skeleton just can't support it. Its own weight would literally crush its internal organs. And for the billions of smaller fish that use those little gas-filled swim bladders to float, the sudden drop in pressure is like a bomb going off inside every single one of them. Their swim bladders would expand explosively, and they would just rupture from the inside out. In a single moment, the entire marine ecosystem is gone, wiped out. So, that's the horror of the fall. But at the exact same time, something even more catastrophic is happening to the very air we breathe. See, we've just created a hole in our planet that's nearly 4 kilometers deep, and our atmosphere is about to rush in to fill that void. The air on the continents immediately expands to try and fill this massive new space. For every living thing on land, the effect is exactly the same as being instantly teleported from sea level to the top of a 2,700-meter mountain. We're talking a sudden, violent 27% drop in global air pressure. A cup of coffee on your desk wouldn't just cool down, it would start to boil, because the boiling point of water drops like a rock with the pressure. The world would also get instantly colder as all that expanding air loses its heat. So what would you feel?
Well, first, a sharp, stabbing pain as the air trapped inside your middle ear expands and ruptures your eardrums. If you held your breath out of shock, which you probably would, the expanding air in your lungs would tear them apart, sending deadly air bubbles straight into your bloodstream. And just like a deep sea diver coming up way too fast, the nitrogen dissolved in your blood would start to bubble out, causing excruciating decompression sickness, the bends. It would be agonizing, and for a lot of people, instantly fatal. And the atmosphere doesn't just gently expand. No, it plummets into the void. The bulk of the air over every single coastline on the planet would pour downwards into those empty ocean basins at the speed of sound. We're talking about a planet-wide waterfall of air, creating winds of over 1,200 kilometers per hour. These are not hurricane winds. These are planet-scouring winds that would strip forests, cities, and all the topsoil from the continents and just hurl it all into the abyss. 5 seconds have now passed. The ships are shattered. The air has turned into a weapon. It really feels like the end of the world, but it's not. The most violent moment is still to come. The clock hits 5 seconds, and the laws of physics demand the water returns. Remember all of that falling debris, the pieces of ships, the remains of all that marine life, all plummeting at 177 kilometers per hour? Well, they've fallen about 122 meters. The water doesn't reappear underneath them, it reappears at its original sea level, so everything just smacks into a solid, unmoving wall of water. This is a phenomenon called the water hammer effect. It creates a shockwave of over 745 atmospheres of pressure. To put that in perspective, a military submarine is maybe designed to withstand 40 atmospheres. This impact would pulverize every last piece of debris into microscopic dust. But what about all that air that rushed into the void? Well, it is now occupying the exact same space as the returning water, and physics really doesn't allow that. The water's return instantaneously compresses all that air, releasing its colossal kinetic energy as heat and a massive shockwave. The energy release is calculated to be the equivalent of 8.7 million 1-megaton nuclear bombs, all detonating at the same time across the entire surface of the ocean. An explosion of that magnitude has to go somewhere, so it pushes the water, and not into a normal tsunami, but into a global mega-tsunami. We're talking waves over a kilometer high, traveling across the deep ocean at the speed of a jet airliner. These waves wouldn't just flood the coasts. They would surge hundreds of kilometers inland, a wall of water so powerful it would scour the very bedrock clean, just erasing anything the winds hadn't already destroyed. The water is back. The tsunamis are pulling back. The immediate violence is finally over. It was only 5 seconds, right? But the planet beneath our feet is now fundamentally, irreversibly broken. The damage isn't just on the surface, it's deep inside the Earth's very structure. And here is the final, absolutely mind-bending twist. Without the incredible weight of the ocean dragging on it, the solid Earth, now lighter, actually spun slightly faster, kind of like a figure skater pulling in their arms to speed up a spin. Over those 5 seconds, the ground at the equator sped up just enough to move an extra 1.07 meters. So when the water snapped back into its original position in space, the seafloor under it had already moved on. The result would be this violent, global-scale grinding as the returning water scraped against a planet that had literally rotated out from under it. And this is the final blow. You see, the crushing weight of the ocean, we're talking over 370 atmospheres of pressure at its deepest points, it acts as a giant clamp, holding our tectonic plates in place, keeping centuries of stress in check. For 5 seconds, that clamp was released. The Earth's crust, suddenly freed from all that weight, would have flexed upward, and all that pent-up geological stress would be unleashed at once. Nearly every fault line on the planet would rupture simultaneously, triggering a chain reaction of magnitude 9+ earthquakes and causing volcanoes to erupt along the entire 65,000-kilometer length of the mid-ocean ridges. So, what if the oceans disappeared for 5 seconds? The answer, according to the laws of physics, is a multi-stage apocalypse that ends with a geologically broken, uninhabitable world. It's a pretty stark reminder that the stable planet we live on is a system of immense, powerful forces all held in a very delicate, life-giving balance. The oceans aren't just water on a rock. They're the ballast, the shock absorber, and the pressure clamp that makes our world possible. And disturbing that balance, even for a moment, is enough to unmake everything.